Hey everyone, today I'm going to be talking about wasted money and wasted time. Economics. Okay, I saw some of you, it's going to be so boring, and I was there too. I was in that boat a couple months ago. But then my dad actually made me learn about economics, and it's actually super interesting, and I realized it's super important. So it really surprised me when I learned that out of our 50 states, only 22 require a basic economics course for high school graduation, which means that only 48% of teenagers in graduating classes in the United States actually have economic education. So if you're like me and you have a dad that makes you learn education and economics at home, it's not really that big of a deal. But if you don't, then it's a huge deal because economics is such a big part of people's lives, and that's according to the Council for Economic Education. And so today I'm going to talk about what economics is and the drawbacks of not teaching it, how we can actually teach it and the benefits that will bring, and actions you and I can take to get economic education into high school curriculums. So every state should require a basic economics course for high school graduation. Contrary to popular belief, economics isn't just about money, and it affects all aspects of your life. So, according to Thomas Sowell in his book, Basic Economics in the 5th edition, he defines economics as the study of the use of scarce resources that have alternative uses. And that's kind of confusing, and most people just associate economics with money, but one thing that really helped me understand was associating it with time. So time is a scarce resource. None of us are going to live forever, and you have so many uses. There are so many different ways that you can use your time. And so you could use an hour to go swimming, you could use an hour to read a book, you could use an hour to cook a meal. And so time is a scarce resource that has lots of alternative uses, and we have to figure out how to use it. And Thomas Sowell also says that when it comes to economics, you can either be uninformed, misinformed, or informed. And this is because, like, if I don't want to learn about brain surgery, I don't have to have anything to do with brain surgery. But everyone every day participates in economics, and that's why this is important to me, because when I go into the world, I want to be informed. And that's why this is important to you, because you want your kids and you want the other people in your lives to be informed about economics. So what are the benefits to teaching economics in high school? So these are the 4 that really stood out to me. First, inform financial decisions. Obviously, that's really important when you're an adult. So second, you prepare for adulthood. So like, as I'm going out into the world, I want to know about economics because I'm going to use economics every single day. And even in ways I don't even know. So like, economics could affect what kind of material you buy your school supplies with, depending on what supply and demand is. So I want to know about that. So you understand budgeting, investing, taxes, and credit. If you don't know how to budget, you go broke. If you don't know how to invest, you're not making as much money as you could. If you don't know how to do your taxes, you go to jail. And credit, Meadow Brown in 2015 did a study, and in Texas, credit scores increased by up to 32 points just from taking a high school economics class. And voting and citizenship, Reuters did a study in 2024 after the election, and economics, 31% of Americans said it was the most important issue they voted on. So depending on the other factors, that was the number 1 or number 2 most important factor that went into their voting. So we're fortunate enough to live in a state where economics is a required class for graduation. I have to take an economics class, but how can we help students in other states receive economic education? So I'm splitting this into personal life and community life. So in your personal life, you could post on social media or just have conversations. Just get the topic out there and get it circulating, because this isn't something you really talk a whole bunch about. And you can also teach your children. You guys have a lot more experience than I do in the economic world. I actually don't really know how anything works, and you guys could teach a lot more than books or graphs ever could. In the community, you could volunteer to host a local class, support the CEE, which is the Council for Economic Education. And this doesn't have to be money, just spreading the word around, sending the information, sending out the website. This all helps support the CEE. And you can also contact state educational leaders in other states. So the ones closest to us that do not require an economic class for graduation are Wyoming, Washington, and Nevada. And so these are the names of each of their education directors, and I can give you their emails afterward if you would like to contact them. So in conclusion, we talked about economics, what it actually is, and the drawbacks of not teaching it in school. We talked about the solutions and the reasons that we should be teaching it in school. we've talked about the ways that you and I can actually get economics into our high schools. And I just want to bring you back. At the beginning when I said economics, I want you to ask yourself, does this word have a new meaning for you now than it did at the beginning? And I know that for me, as I prepared this speech, I knew a little bit about economics before, but now I know even more about it. And I'm even more convinced that we need this in our high school education. Economics can make a huge difference, whether it's just in the life of a student or the community of a student. And so I hope that after today you will seriously consider trying to get economics into our local school systems, because it is super, 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 so important. And I feel very strongly about this. So I really hope that you guys will consider taking economics and trying to get it into our local school systems.